Also, for me, it was felt like if I entered a relationship with a woman, I had to hide a part of me, and I will be found out. I will be found out that I'm not good enough, or that I'm broken, and it's just a matter of time and the energy it takes to hide that and not being authentic me. And I shared that with a group of guys. And Mark, you came up to me afterwards and you sat down with me on the couch and shared your story, and I felt safe with you.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was not alone. And that was powerful for me. And thank you for coming alongside me.
Yeah, brother.
That was really special. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like, he gets it.
Yeah.
He gets it. Yeah.
Welcome to another episode of the Powerful Man Show. I'm your host, Tim Matthews, with the amazing Mr. Mark Smith and the even more amazing Gary Lester. How you doing, gents?
Hey, doing great. Thanks for having us.
Phenomenal. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. Mm-hmm. So, with the Rising, it is day 5. Mm-hmm. We've got King's Council happening in the main house. Mm-hmm. And I think you said what did you say to me a moment ago? How it was an incredible King's Council.
That's powerful King's Council. You know, the round tables for everybody. Very powerful.
Oh, really? Arthur pulled me aside and said, these guys are getting so much value from this. Mm-hmm. Like, we always think they will, but then to hear from you and then Arthur, and I'm sure the other guys will share as well.
Yeah. The brain trust, the experience, the open heart, the vulnerability, the honest sharing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Honest feedback for guys, honest inquiry from a man. Hey, I got questions for you, and getting honest feedback from powerful men. It's valuable.
Oh, gold.
Yeah.
What came up for you in that?
So I came in with the question, which was one of the journaling questions. What can I do to express and amplify my greatness? So to a man, they said one of my greatness was my heart, my open heart, my empathetic heart, and just being open. And so we
don't know what they're talking about.
I haven't experienced that.
Yeah, right. So one of the things evolved a little bit, and some clarifying questions and whatnot. And one of the areas that I've probably held back the most was the area in my life around sexual abuse and subsequent shame, and the effects of how shame have impacted my life as a result of some experiences from the time I was 8 to 18 years old. And that they felt was an area that the world needs to hear, and particularly young men and men need to hear. And tying it with suicide, the high rates of suicide among men, and same-sex abuse, and the heightened amount of shame that comes with that. And how the last thing I want to do is tell anyone that I have had sex with another man, or somebody has had sex with me, a man has had sex with me, or an older male. It's the last thing I ever want to talk about.
Yeah.
But here I am.
Yeah.
Here I am.
Takes courage.
So, it does take courage.
Yeah. Yeah. It does. And we had a process this week. And it was a cathartic process for me. I have one-on-one or intentionally targeted sharing my experiences when I knew a particular man had an experience that they were struggling with that was relevant. And I was there for them, and how they responded in a very appreciative and thankful way, and relief. This time there was 9 of us in there, me and 8 other guys, plus the coaches. I shared a little bit about this at my reset for the first time into a group of men, because it was safe to do so. I mean, providing a safe, non-judgmental environment. And so this time we did it in kind of a different way. And I felt a little bit more comfortable It was a safe, non-judgmental, loving environment. And the guys just in this King's Council here said, Gary, that was one of the most powerful things we heard this week. Your story and the way you shared it and the pain that you shared. That it was impactful for them. And they all said, men need to hear this story. I know somebody who needs to hear this story. I needed to hear this story. So, yeah.
I know before the show we were in jest talking about the thing that us three have in common, right? We're saying it's not that we're men, it's not that we're in the movement, it's not that we're heterosexual, it's not that, it's the fact that all three of us have experienced sexual abuse. And on one hand, it's sad. On the other hand, it's life. I think the numbers of men who have experienced sexual abuse is, think about the resets.
Yeah.
I would say on the resets that I have delivered, on average, obviously we cap the number of men at the reset to about 10. It might be 9, it might be 11, depending on the venue. Let's say 10. I would say on average, over all the resets that I've done, somewhere between 25 to 30% of the men voluntarily share that they've suffered sexual abuse.
Yeah.
Which is huge. It's a high number. And when you think about the stats within society around male suicide,
Yes.
around shootings that happen, around dysfunctional behavior,
Depression and anxiety.
the idea of toxic masculinity, alcoholism, workaholism, all these things.
Gender-based violence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really do wonder how much sexual abuse really plays a role. I mean, I just think about the documentaries that have come out over the past 5 years. The number of documentaries that have come out about sexual abuse
Yeah.
that are based in past decades, right?
Yeah.
Be it in sports clubs, be it in athletics, be it in I could go on and on.
Churches.
The movie
Churches.
industry.
TV,
TV,
it's wild. I got to imagine there are men out there right now who are listening to this right now at this very moment that have suffered sexual abuse and they haven't told a soul.
Yeah.
Let's speak to those guys.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you want to share with them?
First thing that comes to my mind is you are not alone. I felt so lonely. I didn't want to share. I didn't want to share it with a soul. Therefore, I created my loneliness. And it affected me in a variety of ways. Affected my relationships with girls, women. But men, if you've experienced this, you are not alone. 25 to 35% is probably representative of actual numbers in the greater population. And my suspicion is it's getting higher and higher as time goes on.
How did it affect your relationship with women?
I really felt like I wasn't worthy. I was broken. I was sexually broken. And I wasn't worthy of a woman's love. I didn't have what it takes to attract and keep the love of a beautiful woman because I'm not a man. I'm not enough of a man. And it was a limiting belief that I had, either consciously or subconsciously, and at times both. And I would often self-sabotage with that, the relationship. I would start dissociating, start pulling away because I was ashamed of who I was. I was broken. I felt I was broken and unworthy. And so many people that I was in a relationship with were hurt by that.
Yeah.
I was hurting others because of my silence. So, guys, if you've experienced it, you are not alone. And I just encourage you, anyone, I'm available to talk to people. in the King's Council, I basically said, maybe it's my time. That was 15 minutes or probably a half hour ago. And here we are talking about it on a podcast.
Talk about manifesting an opportunity.
What's Doug say? In the moment of inspiration, take massive action. Right.
Yeah.
But it's serious, guys. The shame that comes with having experienced that. I feel guilty. There was pleasure in it for me. I did something wrong. It was my fault.
Yeah.
You know, I brought it on.
Yeah.
You know, I could have said no. In my case, I froze.
Yeah. Me too.
In my case, it was a game.
Really.
I often wonder, like, I was about, how old was that? Maybe 5 or 6. And it was at the hands of a kid that was a few years older. He couldn't have been that many years older. And the way he framed it is, hey, this, I think he said like my uncle or someone, hey, my uncle played this game with me. I want to play this game with you. And who knows, maybe that was true, right? Which if it is, it just kind of goes to the point we're talking about 25 to 30%. It's probably even higher, right?
Yep.
So we played a game. We only played the game. Obviously, it's like, this doesn't feel. This is a bit weird. There was something inside of me that was like, this. I should say. I should be saying no right now. Like, should I say no? Should I not say no? What's right? What's wrong? Is it? Obviously, I'm young, right? It was very difficult to understand the correct response in the moment. So we played that game maybe 1 or 2 times. I then played that game 1 or 2 times, and I was like, "This is really weird," But yeah, the shame that comes with it, the confusion that comes with it.
Yeah.
I often wonder how has that influenced or impacted me sexually. And to be honest, I've not dived into that. I've not felt the need to. There's been definitely curiosities, more so lately, as I've been in resets and such and conversations like this, where I start to wonder a bit more and think, I wonder what's there. But when I recollect those times, 3 main feelings come up for me. One is there wasn't any violence within it, but there's still a feeling of like a little bit of helplessness.
Yeah.
Was there ever don't tell anyone?
Yes.
Yes. That happened on several times. Don't tell anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was don't tell anyone. So there was, I can remember feeling some helplessness. I could have said no, but I didn't really know what was, is this normal? Is it not? So second feeling, a bit confusion.
Yes.
Right. And I think as I've grown up over the decades, I think a piece of what happened has then influenced how and what I do say no to. Because honestly, I think it's made me. I think my boundaries were a little bit affected.
Yeah, boundaries. That's how I characterize my sexual boundaries were train wrecked at 8 years old.
Yeah.
Train wrecked, and the boundarylessness of it was like I just learned that this was an activity that's part of life, and I was shame, and I was like, I felt it deep, something wrong. I felt it was wrong, but it was an experience that I had. I was a field that I had familiarity with now, that my innocence was stolen at 8 years old. Yeah. I don't remember a time when I wasn't sexually active.
Yeah. Wow.
And, to talk about sexual addiction later on in life, and patterns of relationships broken, you're cycling and looking for fulfillment, never finding it, and all these things in pursuit of a woman to satisfy some need, that was ultimately a wound that no person could satisfy.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I just want to share something with you. I'm sure we can both agree that in order to fix something, you need to know what's broken. And not only need to know what's broken, but a step-by-step methodology on how you can fix it. That's the easiest way to do it, right? Otherwise, you're going to be toiling with things. That's why I created a free training, a training that not only shows you how you got to where you are, where your relationship is missing that love, respect, admiration, and even intimacy that it used to have, to how you get it back. How do you retain that where your wife's looking at you the same way she used to look at you when she said, I do? I don't know about you, but for me, when my wife looks at me like I'm her man, that I feel like I can conquer the world. And I want that for you. Simply go over to thepowerfulman.com/scales. That's thepowerfulman.com/scales. And I have a free video training for you. You can just click play and see if this resonates for you. Now back to the podcast.
So how it transpired for me, building on that, because you're talking to me about my story in a way. It was a boy and his brother, and they were older than me, and I didn't have advocacy, and it was also a game, and it was a game they played. They wanted to, share this game with me, so it was you're special kind of thing initially, and then it was don't tell anyone and all of that. And what that resulted in for me was, firstly, I never told anybody until I was 42, right? Yeah. So I kept it, and it was a part of me that I could not share with anybody, a part of me that was locked down. And what happened in my relationships with women was sex became a weapon, and women became conquests, nothing more. So that affected my ability to have a deep, connected relationship with a woman, because sex equaled lack of trust, feeling of it's wrong. I'm going to get found out, all of that stuff and all of the shame. So sex became a shameful thing. So it was something I tried not to think about, so it was very, very much transactional. And I'm very grateful for the relationship I have with my wife, because she knows everything. I've told her absolutely in gory detail, more than she probably needed to hear. But it was cathartic for me to be able to have that conversation with her. And honestly, she was the first person I told everything to. I mean, I processed it, and gratefully within an environment where I was safe, I was able to confront my abuser, so to speak. And that was huge for me, because suddenly I felt like I could have my power back as a man. And I think, I've done some further work on that with a therapist, and gone to the place where I feel like I've rediscovered my innocence, which was incredible for me, because losing your innocence at 9-10 years old, there's a part that was missing. So I can relate to a lot of that. It also, for me, it felt like if I entered a relationship with a woman, I had to hide a part of me. I had to hold a part of me behind my back hidden, and I will be found out. I will be found out that I'm not good enough, or that I'm broken, and it's just a matter of time, and the energy it takes to hide that and not being authentic me. And it was at the reset, November of 2022. I shared that with a group of guys, and Mark, you came up to me afterwards, and you sat down with me on the couch and shared your story, and I felt safe with you. Yeah, and I felt like I was not alone, and that was powerful for me. And thank you for coming alongside me. Yeah, brother. That was really special. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah. It's just like, he gets it. Yeah. He gets it. Yeah.
Yeah, the guys in TPM were the first people I shared it with. It was at a reset.
Wow.
It's on the dinner table.
Wow.
What was that like for you to share that?
Freeing. Definitely related to a lot of what you guys are saying about how it's impacted you. Over the years, I've not dwelled on it a great deal. There's definitely been patterns of behavior in my life, especially around and with women. But honestly, a lot of the time I put down to feelings of inadequacy and me seeing women. Sounds bad, but it just is what it is. Seeing women and putting my self-worth on my ability to be able to attract the kind of women that other people wanted, whether I was in a relationship or not, right? And even sometimes it wasn't to attract the women that other people wanted. It could have just been women in general, right? I do think some of it did come from a place of inadequacy and insecurity. But also I think some of that inadequacy and insecurity was fed and fueled because of what happened too. But yeah, I shared everything with Amelia. Never shared it with my ex. I shared it all with Amelia. That was probably a more terrifying share.
Sure.
Than around the table at the reset.
Yeah.
I remember we were in Greece when I shared it with her in Santorini, and don't recall how it came up. But she knows, just like Bonnie, just like Heather.
Yeah.
She knows everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some guys who share this and share it from a place of victimhood.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm wondering how we can convey the fruits that we currently get to enjoy in life as a result of us facing head on what it is that we have experienced.
Yep.
Because none of us have been victims of it. Victims to it.
Yeah.
I think if I was listening and I had this thing going on, I think not only would I want to hear that other guys have been through it, but also that on the other side of going through it, they've experienced some incredible fruitfulness in their life.
Sure.
So how do we convey that right now?
Well, there's a part for me around acceptance by women specifically. I think a lot of guys don't share their sexual shame for fear of rejection. And my encouragement would be, and I've spoken with a lot of men, I've worked with a lot of men, that not without exception, sure, but women generally will appreciate the openness, the vulnerability, and be willing to and there's an acceptance there. And in fact, my relationship with Bonnie got closer because, of course, that shadow then evaporated. Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
And just share on either sides. How do you? I know there's other things that you guys have done within your relationship that helps you guys to have the relationship that you do. But just share a little bit about the kind of relationship you have with Bonnie. Because if I was listening to this, resonating with this, and I've got this hidden thing that is creating unconscious patterns in my life, sabotage or otherwise, I'd want to have some hope.
Yeah.
I'd want to hear this and know that, okay, I'm hearing some encouragement. One, you're not alone. Two, kind of share it to some degree. Obviously, there's nuances to that piece of advice. But what's possible for me on the other side of this? So if you could share a little about the relationship you have with Bonnie.
As a result of that acceptance and that transparency, it's allowed a lot of freedom sexually as well, from the perspective of, within shame, am I enough? Do I have what it takes?
Yeah.
All of those kinds of things. Lack of confidence can come up. And as a result of the transparency and her acceptance, we have a very close, connected, intimate life relationship, a high level of trust. She absolutely believes in me 100%. She's my biggest fan and biggest advocate. And I am, as a result of accepting myself and being able to share that, much more powerful and potent as a man, interestingly enough. Her view of me and her perspective of me has been much greater than I was willing to accept about myself. And the more she kept on sharing with me how much she believed in me and what she tells me about me when I come here to, serve other men at a rising or a reset, etc., is be brilliant, because that's who she sees me being. And the shame didn't allow me to see my brilliance. Now that I've shared it with her, and her belief and her support is, I fully believe that I'm brilliant. So, so it's
awesome.
it's incredible. Yeah, it's an incredible and very privileged process for me. It's been amazing.
Yeah, because the story is I can't share it. I'll be looked at as being weak, and there's all
less of a man. If one of my friends or my family, whatever, watched this, in the past it would have been, can I? And now, as you were sharing, it's not about me. It's it's for others. So
yeah, I would tell the guys listening, since I've started sharing my story, including the two, the reset and the rising here, there's probably over 36 people that I have shared this with. Not one has rejected me.
Yeah. Men or women.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I'll be okay. A couple of them have, a handful have been women. One rejected me. I'm divorced. But honestly, there was other issues involved there, but no one has, other than that, most have embraced me. They've felt my pain. They've loved me more. They've accepted me. They've, so statistically speaking, if we're afraid, all these things we're afraid to share, I'll get rejected, I'll blah, blah, blah. Statistically, that doesn't bear out.
No.
Based on my experience.
There's another piece. I've just had this light bulb moment. I hadn't shared my pain with the mother of my children, who I'm also divorced from. And there was a limit to the relationship, and I'd attracted her from a broken place.
Yes.
And I attracted Bonnie from a healed place.
Yes.
So the type of
Same with
person,
me.
you're right, the woman that came into my life is a different kind of woman,
Yep.
much healthier
for
relationship.
Same with me and Heather.
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. I think my past relationship, I'd attracted something similar, and I tried to fix her.
Yeah.
And I think
me
I was
too.
probably trying to fix myself.
Yep.
Through fixing her, I would
Yeah.
hopefully feel better about myself. It was never going to work.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Wow.
It's also a duty of men, and one of the big reasons I'm in this movement is I believe it's a duty of men to show up and be honorable and lead and make a safe world for women and children. And so by speaking about this, it creates much more of that, I believe. And I think it's also incumbent upon us to call it out and to raise awareness from the perspective of it's going on. Be vigilant, and don't let it happen to your child.
Yeah.
If you can avoid it. And one of the reasons I didn't share this publicly was because I didn't want my parents to feel that they'd done something wrong.
Likewise.
Yeah. And they didn't. It wasn't on their watch.
No.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. I think shame in general, whether it's shame as a result of this or, hey, I've got a gambling problem or born or anything I've been doing or done that it's shameful, the power of shame comes because we hold it in the dark.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
And the more I try to hide it, the more shame builds. And it's just this vicious cycle. And the effects over time of shame to my heart, my soul, my body, the body keeps the score.
Yep.
The physical diseases that can come from just this negative energy that I'm holding and trying to hide, and the body wants it out. Letting it go, bring it to the light at the reset was step one. Expanding on it here at the rising, and I even feel lighter sharing it with you two fine men to whoever is going to hear this episode. Whoever needs to hear this episode, that there is freedom when we bring it into the light. And that's one thing I felt was this relief
Yeah.
when at the at the reset.
Yeah.
I was just so relieved of our conversation. And it was just, and this one now is even more relieving.
Guilt is I did something wrong.
Yeah.
Shame is I am wrong.
I am wrong.
You know, when you bring that into the light and you realize, well, you just have that belief challenged by men.
Yeah.
And you realize that you aren't wrong.
No.
Right?
I was wronged.
Yeah. And you're able to give that stagnant energy, which is what the emotion is, an outlet. It begins to process, and each time it becomes lighter and lighter and lighter. And it doesn't go away, but you learn to live with it differently, just like a scar. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It heals.
Yeah.
But, you know, sometimes some wounds heal with a scar. And they remind you.
Reminder. Like that scars.
They tell you a story, right? The scars building a part of your life story.
Yeah.
And we learn to live with things differently. But to your point, we've got to get it out of the dark into the light in a very safe space. In a way where you feel comfortable doing it.
And you guys here on these events are masters at providing safe places for men to open up. And I just appreciate the powerful man and the brilliance that goes into providing safety and the ability for men to be authentic, open up, and from that rise. I would say to the men listening, to your point earlier, if you've experienced this, you've suffered from this, you are not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. It wasn't your fault. And you can rise from this.
So, the moment of insight, take massive action. We'll see you next time on The Powerful Man Show.